You're watching Conversations in Marin, a discussion with Martin Rosen and Pierre Joske, the first general manager of the Marin County Open Space District.
Pierre, of all the thousands of acres and many transactions, which are those that come to your mind as most personally and professionally gratifying?
Most important one, if not in size, but in terms of personal gratification, right, was when we purchased Pams Blue Ridge. This was a donation that was coming from a family who lost their daughter in a car accident, and they wanted to do something for their daughter and put their name or her name on that piece of property. Mm-hmm. And so we selected a piece of property in a Cascade Canyon, and we took the family up there to the top of the hill. The land was available, and they financed, if not all, as I recall, at least 90% of the purchase of that piece of property, and it was duly named Pams Blue Ridge. And of course, we had dignitaries up there when we concluded the deal, and the family, and we had a little get-together up there in memory of Pam.
It really identifies the family,
yes,
the spot, and the county.
That's right. Coming
together in a sense of community.
Exactly. Yes.
A wonderful legacy. So that one comes to mind.
Yeah, that one does.
Any others, either a wetlands or a ridge?
Well, we had some success around Terra Linda. That whole horseshoe eventually was purchased. And some of the acreage there, I forget exactly the detail, but we were able to get all of the pieces necessary to close that ridge, mm-hmm, all the way around from Kaiser Hospital all the way around to the other side. A strategic victory there was what we liked, you know, that we were able to get the whole ridge together. Mm-hmm. We still are struggling. I think the district is still struggling with Big Rock Ridge and Novato and some of the ridges around Mill Valley, but otherwise this was one really interesting piece. Mm-hmm. In terms of shorelines, we were able to get Deer Island on Galenas Creek, yes, which also was going to be developed to something, and we were able to purchase that. Mm-hmm. It's very small, but it's very significant. Mm-hmm. And it's the only island on that creek that could have been preserved. It has some magnificent trees on it. And
well, the amazing thing to me, if I could characterize your management, is its diversity. You had so many different kinds of components of the ecological system. Yes. Small ones, as you say, not necessarily large in acreage, but on the other hand, some very large, sweeping vistas that are quite important and distinctive in their own right.
I think one that's also important is one that is right behind us here in Novato, Mount Burdell. We were able to not only acquire Mount Burdell from Standard Oil Company, which wanted to develop a senior citizens retreat over the hill in the back of the first ridge, but not only that, through persistence, we were able to convince the State Parks Department to buy Olompali. And so now that's one entity really under two different jurisdictions, but as far as the public is concerned, it's one piece of open space.
And there was an example of a partnership between
absolutely
communities and governmental agencies in a cooperative effort that probably did something that neither of you could have done as well alone.
And I think this neighborhood, San Marin, as well as Terra Linda, these people are paying for open space, or were paying. They're done with some of it now. We're paying for open space 3 times.
What does that mean?
They were paying 3 times. They were paying city taxes.
Yes.
They were paying county taxes, and then they taxed themselves to purchase the open space. So a part of the city and county taxes was going to the open space, but they decided that they wanted to make that extra effort to acquire the land around them. And this is how we were able to do this up here. Their bond issues are paid off now, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. The people that live here now don't pay 3 times, they pay it twice now.
Now, what would you say to people, Pierre, say, well, gee, don't we have enough open space? Shouldn't we be doing something else as a priority rather than having more and more open space? How do you answer that question?
My answer to that is yes, there are a lot of other things that should be done. Things like housing and jobs and transportation, all of these things are important. But in terms of mental health, physical health, and happiness in general, I think you need a sense of open space around you. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a whole lot of it, mm-hmm. but you should be able to look at some greenery and some places where you can go walk or just breathe and look at the trees or the butterflies if you like.
What would you have to recall as one of your greatest disappointments during your 17 years as general manager of the Open Space District and Parks?
If I may say this, it probably has to do more with parks in this case.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. We were on the verge of acquiring a major regional park in downtown Marin County. This was Pacheco Vale, where we now have the IJ building and everything behind it. This was a ready-made park. All I had to do there is maybe put a fence across the front with a gate that we'd open when the park is open, a few rent-a-cans, and you could use it right today. Eventually you develop a few things in there, but the park was just perfect with a creek going through it and meadows and rock outcroppings with weird trees coming through the rocks.
And public access, it couldn't be more
public
accessible.
Access, there's a highway interchange right there. It was perfect, and I had the potential, real potential for the financing, which eventually panned out. But as irony would have it, the supervisor of that district was the only one who didn't want it and was able to kill the acquisition. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we bought McGinnis Park, which is not nearly the same in my book.
Yes.
It's shoreline, to be sure, and that's good.
That's a positive.
It's very positive. But it's not the ready-made park that we had there.
Interesting.
And so that was a big disappointment.
But what I like having seen that, instead of falling on your sword and giving up, the professional says, well, that's a setback or a speed bump. And then you went on to the next project, and as you say, it's shoreline. And that's, it seems to me, the example of a true professional. He doesn't just fold his tent and say, that's it.
No. If you do that, you might as well quit.
There you go.
You don't need to continue drawing your salary.
What would you say to our viewers, in your view, are the challenges that the Open Space District faces over the next 3 to 5 years?
I would say, generally speaking, that finances is always at the basis of everything. In my book, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but something that you can count on, something dependable source of revenue. And that is why I was trying to get my successors interested in creating some kind of endowment for the district. And I suggested creating a position for a person who could go to see lawyers and accountants and talk up the possibility of grants and donations and tax deductions and things like that with the people of the county. After all, there's enough wealth here in this county where it might pay off. It may not, but it may. But there's something that's happening too, and that is as you buy more property, you need more money to maintain them and bring them to a point where they can be self-sufficient, and some patrolling and all that will always be needed. So that the funding will slowly shift from acquisition to maintenance and reforestation and those things that are
that's a little more difficult because it's not as sensational or sexy as a new
it's not glamorous
acquisition.
No.
But as Eric Hoffer, that wonderful longshoreman, said on the San Francisco waterfront, maintenance. That's the key to civilization. Maintenance.
He's right.
Or we turn it into environmental terms, stewardship.
Yes.
Interpretation. And bringing especially young people into the community so that they feel that they have as large a stake in the lands that were so brilliantly perceived and then actually acquired.
And I think in this county, open space is so important that we need to have the people use it and have them teach their children to use it, and also to support whatever efforts the district is making.
You've been watching Conversations in Marin, a discussion with Pierre Joske. Your host has been Martin Rosen. For more information about the Marin County G-Channel programming, please email us at MarinGChannel@gmail.com. You can also visit us on the web at MarinGChannel.org. Thanks for watching.